Alright, so look, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over my personal 2024 end of the year pound for pound rankings. Because with the year of 2024 now coming to a close, and with UFC 310, the last UFC pay-per-view now in the books, I wanted to take some time to sorta give my own 2 cents as well as state my own subjective opinion on how I thought the pound for pound rankings should have looked going into the new year. So, with that being said, without further ado, let's get right in to the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 1,500 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look, coming in at number 10 on the list, we've got Max Blessed Holloway. And look, even though he is coming off of a very, very great loss against Ilia El Matador Topuria, a loss that is going to later age like fine wine, he is the only current fighter to be ranked within the top 5 in 2 separate weight classes, those being the feather and lightweight divisions. Not to mention he's coming off of one of, if not the greatest KO finishes in all of UFC history. His buzzer beater finish over Justin the Highlight Gaethje at UFC 300. That being said, Max Blessed Holloway has definitely earned his spot in my pound for pound top 10. Now, coming in at the 9th spot on the list, we've got the one and only Johnny Jon Jones. And look, I'ma be frank. Jon Jones is the consensus greatest fighter to ever step foot in an octagon, and with his 17 straight title defenses, double division champion status, as well as his 9 undefeated record, there is no denying that he's one of the best of the best. But the thing is, there's a very distinct difference between consensus GOAT and the current pound for pound number 1. And look, stemming from the lack of activity, not to mention the most recent level in opposition, his claim for anything higher than number 1 is kinda few and far between. Not to mention he needs to fight his interim champion in Tom Aspinall for us to really see who's the best in the division, let alone pound for pound. But at the most recent post-fight press conference, Uncle Fester, Dana White, did say that we're gonna be getting some Tom v. Jones news very, very soon heading into 2025. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Speaking of our heavyweight interim champ, coming in at number 8 on the list, we've got Tom Aspinall. And look, in my honest opinion, I think this cat is the greatest heavyweight in the world right now. With 14 first-round finishes, 12 of those coming by knockout, and with him never seeing a 3rd round in his entire MMA career. If we're talking about pure, absolute skill, he's probably coming in at number 3 or 4 on my pound for pound rankings. And the thing about him is his resume, and he hasn't necessarily fought as quality competition as everyone else higher on the list. But heading into the new year of 2025, and this fight between Tom Aspinall and Johnny Jon Jones can actually come into fruition, and Tom Aspinall somehow gets a way to come out on top, I assure you he'll never see a number 8 ranking in his life ever again. Now, coming in at the 7th spot on my list, we've got Belal, remember the eyeball, name Mohammed. And look, personally speaking, I think the Belal Muhammad hate within the MMA community is so forced. And this cat's a super well-rounded combatant who just so happens to have 0 finishing ability. He ain't all that bad. Not to mention he's on a phenomenal win streak that doesn't get talked about enough. With wins on his resume like Damian Maia, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Gilbert Burns, and most recently a stupendous performance against Leon Scissorhands Edwards in order to win the undisputed welterweight title. I personally think that Bully B. Muhammad deserves a lot more respect. Now, taking the 6th spot on the list, we've got Dricus Still Knocks Du Plessis. And wow, honestly, out of all the champions on this list, Dricus du Plessis has shocked and proved me wrong way more than any other. The man has had a phenomenal year and a half and has already built himself a compy resume with wins over a legend like Robert the Reaper Whittaker, and most recently the upsetting dismantling of the last stylebender Israel Adesanya that took the entire MMA community by surprise. Not to mention his highly contested war with Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis has definitely earned all of his flowers as well as his kudos in the year of 2024. We are now getting into the top 5, and coming in at the 5th spot on the list, we've got Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. And yo, give this man the respect that he deserves, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all right now, Merab Dvalishvili has already got a bantamweight GO level resume already, and he doesn't even have a title defense yet. With wins over guys like the King of Rio, Jose Aldo, the former bantamweight champion Pereira, the former champ and Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo, and most recently the absolute domination of the former champ Sugar Sean O'Malley. Merab Dvalishvili has got a style that gives anyone within the bantamweight division problems, whether they be a prospect or ranked within the top 5 or is a contender themselves. And if he can go out there and beat Umar Nurmagomedov in January, he not only bumps up my list but also makes a very strong claim for the greatest bantamweight of all time. Now, taking the 4th spot on my list, and I know I'm gonna get a bit of backlash on this one, but I've got the one and only Alex Pereira. And look, I get it. The year of 2024 wouldn't have been so great without this man, and he's quite literally become the textbook definition of accompaniment. He saved UFC 300, he saved UFC 303, and he saved UFC 307. Not to mention he's a 2-division champion and the most active champion in the company currently. So it was sorta a no-brainer that he was gonna be ranked within the top 5. But you see, I sorta based this placement based on the level of competition as well as the champions above him kinda being a little bit more deserving of a higher placement. But going into 2025, I would love to see the UFC finally finalize that long-awaited Magomed and Ankalaev matchup, and if Alex Pereira can somehow get the job done in supremely decisive fashion, then there is no doubt in my mind that he snags the number 1 pound-for-pound spot. Now, breaking into the top 3 of my end-of-the-year pound-for-pound rankings, I've got the cannibal himself, Alexandre Pantoja. And look, I do not care what anyone says, and this placement is practically a no-brainer. This man has quite literally cleared out the entirety of the flyweight division, with wins over the, at the time of this recording, the number 2 ranked Brandon Moreno 4 times, the number 1 ranked Brandon Royval 2 times, and the number 4 ranked Kai Kara France, as well as the number 6 ranked Alex Perez, and the list just keeps going on and on and on and on. Not to mention, he's just had the best performance of his career against the former rising champ in Kai Asakura. In my honest opinion, I believe that Alexandre Pantoja is only second best to the great Demetrius Johnson in terms of featherweight greatest of all time, and is rapidly creeping up to that number 1 spot. And I have no doubt in my mind that come 2025, if his granite chin can hold up and he can rack up a couple more title defenses, I say that he takes the 1 or 2 spot on my pound for pound rankings, and he will 1,000,000% surpass Demetrius Johnson as the consensus featherweight greatest of all time. And now, taking the runner-up spot on my list, we've got the one and the only, the undisputed featherweight champion of the world, Ilia El Matador Topuria. And look, really little needs to be said about his placement on my pound for pound rankings. 2 back-to-back finishes over the 2 greatest men to ever grace his division. the future first ballot Hall of Famers in Alexander the Great Volkanovski, as well as Max Blessed Holloway, back to back within a 7-month time span at the ripe young age of 27. Jeez, just listening to what he's done in this year alone is just so inspirational. But with all that being said, the man has already gotten the best claim for featherweight greatest of all time with just those 2 wins on his resume in such a short period of time. And I believe he remains undefeated within the featherweight division to the point where he's got no choice but to jump divisions. Where that takes us to Hamza Tunisia MMA's #1 pound for pound ranked fighter in the world, Islam Makhachev. And look, even though the cat only fought once this year, a submission win over Dustin Diamond Poirier, he is still one of the most well-rounded fighters on the planet, if not the most well-rounded fighter on the planet. And with wins over Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, Alexander Volkanovski twice, there is no denying Islam Makhachev's spot for my #1 pound for pound ranked fighter on my list. And once he beats Arman Tsarukyan on the 18th of January, I implore the Dagestani to welcome a super fight with Ilia El Matador. And look, I know he stressed on multiple occasions that he doesn't want to fight a 145er anymore, but the reality is, a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria wouldn't just be a really big super fight, but would honestly be the biggest super fight in UFC history. And I genuinely think it would surpass McGregor-Alvarez levels in terms of pay-per-view sales. And if they hold this in the Bernabeu Stadium in Spain, and let's just say if Ilia El Matador Topuria manages to win, then I guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt that the entire MMA community wouldn't only just break, but would do absolute somersaults on itself. But that's besides the fact. Islam Makhachev has earned his spot as my #1 pound for pound ranked fighter of 2024. But with that being said, what a phenomenal year for the UFC. 2024 has been an absolute spectacle. From Ilia Topuria's rise, to all the UFC 300 hype actually coming to fruition, to the birth of Alex Pereira's superstardom. This year did not disappoint whatsoever, and I cannot wait to see what UFC 2025 has in store. For not only the UFC, but for the Hamza Tunisia MMA channel as well. But with that being said, let me know in the comment section below. What did you guys think of my personal / subjective UFC end of the year pound for pound rankings? And which champions would you change? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.